So as I said a few days ago, I think the world feels out of control, a bit foreign and threatening. It's not just going through a transition technologically, culturally, politically, and economically, much of which we've talked about to this point in the event. I would also say at the core, we're going through perhaps one of the great transitions in many decades and one of the few major transitions in all of history around the nature of power. Since the 1970s, as we mentioned, the political left has come to dominate the realm of cultural power. The political right has come to dominate the realm of capital power. The middle class and the middle and working class of both ends of the political spectrum have become increasingly frustrated by the dominant opposite. The right abhors the left-leaning cultural power they see foisting multicultural cosmopolitanism on the West. And the left abhors the right-leaning capital power they see degrading the middle class through globalization and financialization. Both sides jockey for political power, trading it back and forth and using it to full effect to quash the other dominant when they hold the political reins. For example, the right tries to stymie cultural power they see destroying traditional values by hammering abortion rights. The left tries to build the social safety net, such as the Affordable Care Act, that they see being eroded by unfettered free market capital power. And just in the last 8 years, we've seen this shift go back and forth in this power war. Then, within the historical blink of an eye, along come green and emergent teal power players, platforms that can convene attention, talent, and energy, like Facebook, Twitter, Google. I'd suggest even Fox News as a platform, a new kind of media platform. Bitcoin, blockchain, and others, these large media companies, outsized personalities, and massive tech platforms with the power to change, enhance, or undermine the other forms of power, money, cultural, and political power. And it also creates these new paradoxes within all those forms of power. You know, power is at work when we think about artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and the singularity, and the rise of the big tech platforms in Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple, the big five. As David pointed out a few days ago, these massive platforms have consolidated so much of our economic, social, and technological lives under their purview. They wield almost indomitable power to continue to influence and guide the masses. At least that's what it seems like. But ironically, they also feel like they're under constant threat of losing their own power to the next upstart at any moment. So, incidentally, the reason millennials have so much more relative power than prior or younger generations, which is an interesting phenomenon if you actually pay attention to it, it's because of the transition to platform power. It's precisely because of this that our youngest generation as adults has more relative power than any prior younger generation in all of history. Will the existing structures and existing players end up in the power position after the transition is done? Not likely, not all of them. And it's a paradox, this contradiction between these massive, epic powers of the mega power holders today on the one hand, and the way in which they know they might be displaced very quickly on the other. And displaced how? By the whims of crowds, by the emergence of new technology, by a rewriting of the rules that govern our society, by new innovations like the blockchain, by new political movements, and many others. And this is the paradox of green level power. It's something so monopolistic in one sense and so transitory in the next. And this paradox characterizes our contemporary lives, in my view. And this is a war going on. Let's make no mistake. It's not a classic war. It's not a war between good and evil, but it's still a war played out across the spectrum of power as those who have it try to hold on and grow it, and those who don't have it try to disrupt those who have it.